in my notes, double check pronunciation, MAMU or MAMU, but I spelled both of them wrong.
I guess there's no really wrong way to say it. We just always said MAMU.
MAMU is how I read it too.
Yeah, it's just an acronym. So there was really, and it was actually my girlfriend that I was like, oh, I think we're going to call it me and my uncle. And she goes, hey, MAMU.
I once recorded a whole show where I was mispronouncing the person's name, and
and they
never corrected me. And then I was listening, I got an email after the show came out, like, hey, just so you know, that's not my name. And I was like, wait, what? Like, I would have fixed it. Anyway, let's get started here.
Okay.
Hey there, everyone. This is Ryan from the Coffee People Podcast. And I want you to know that I don't just host coffee podcasts, I also listen to them. One of our recent guests, James Harper, is the host of Filter Stories. I originally reached out to James because his show is one of my favorite podcasts to listen to. On Filter Stories, James does deep documentary-style dives into things like the history of or the science of coffee from an outsider's perspective. I'm not a science guy, but when James starts a new episode of Filter Stories by heading down the rabbit hole to explore how our perception of smell or taste can be changed by the environment or even the music we're listening to while we drink a cup of coffee, I'm enthralled. I've shared the links to Filter Stories in our podcast notes, but you can also search for Filter Stories on Apple or Spotify. You'll find the show there too. And I hope you listen, because you'll come away not just learning facts, but with an awareness of how you experience coffee. And because you can never listen to enough coffee podcasts, check out Filter Stories on your favorite podcast platform. Before we get started on the show today, I want to shout out the presenting sponsor, Roastar Coffee Packaging. We couldn't do this without them. You can find Roastar online at roastar.com. Now, on to the show. Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Season 10, Episode 9 of the Coffee People Podcast, which is part of the Roast West Coast Coffee Network and presented by Roastar Coffee Packaging. I'm Ryan Woldt, and this is the Coffee Podcast where we meet all the interesting people from all the corners of the coffee industry. They share their coffee stories, and we try to figure out why they do what they do and why they do it in coffee, which is a pretty unique industry. Sometimes we pop in on our industry partners and our past guests, just to see how things are going and what has changed since the last time we chatted. Today I got a chance to catch up with Richard Masino. We talked with Richard last year about Rancho Delfino, the farm he and his father had planted coffee trees on outside of Los Angeles. When the pandemic slowed down his work on major Hollywood films, Richard found himself spending more and more time on the farm and more time invested in the pursuit of understanding coffee. I popped in on Richard to find out how things have changed for him in the years since our original interview, and turns out things have been happening. He has a new coffee roasting company called Me and My Uncle Coffee Roasters, or MAMU Coffee, which I'll let him tell you about. And of course, if you want to check it out, the link to the original interview is in this podcast's show notes, or you can find it on coffeepeoplepodcast.com. But for now, join me while I pop in with Richard Masino, co-founder and head roaster of Me and My Uncle Coffee, based in Los Angeles, California. Hey everyone, welcome to this pop-in episode of the Coffee People Podcast, presented, as always, by Ryan Woldt. I'm joined by a previous guest, one of our newest industry partners, Richard Masino of Me and My Uncle Coffee, also known as MAMU Coffee for short. I wanted to check in with him because, the company's new. They just launched recently. I wanted to learn more about what they're offering up and, why they're even taking this next step. Welcome back, Richard. It's great to see you. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ryan. Always great to be on, and always great to see your smiling face. And
I only smile when I see you, Richard. That's it. The last time that we talked was, I want to say a year ago, maybe, that we met and started talking.
Yeah.
I think almost. And we talked a lot about how you were getting into coffee from your career in cinematography and film, and your father had bought a farm, and you were starting to grow coffee on that farm, and you were doing all this kind of stuff, getting into the industry, and you were real jazzed about it. We talked about your Q grader experience. You've continued to expand your foray into coffee since then. So MAMU Coffee, me and my uncle coffee, is a new thing. Why do this, and why launch the website MAMU Coffee?
Yeah, last time we spoke, it was, I believe, over the summer of last year after SCA Portland, getting more and more into coffee. Like we talked about, going down the rabbit hole. And what I was noticing is there were a lot of really, really good coffees that I was tasting out of Mexico. And Mexico really holds kind of a special place in my heart. Always has. And so my uncle, who is a director, had approached me. It was kind of randomly and just said, "Hey, I've been thinking about starting a coffee company." And I'm always thinking about coffee, and I was always thinking about something like that, whether it's a cafe or this, just shooting a documentary, roasting, all this stuff. And I said, "Oh, great. Let's, I've been thinking about that too." And so we sat down and talked, and we kind of, we're aligned on a lot of issues. And the big thing being farming, because as we talked about in the last episode, me being us growing coffee here in California and really learning the process. I really want people to be more aware of what the farming side is of the coffee. And I want the farmers to get paid more money for their coffee. My uncle and I decided that it would be a fun venture to try and find really good coffees. We started with Latin America. So our first three offerings, there's a Mexican, a Nicaraguan, and a Brazil. One of our missions was really, if we have to pay more for the coffee, and that means that the farmer's getting more money, maybe buying direct versus buying from an importer. This is all the stuff we're learning as we go along. But our main goal is to get the farmer a little more money, as much as we possibly can, to try and, give them to try and get them more money. No, that doesn't sound good. We just want to spread the wealth to everybody. It's not
Sure. You said you started in Latin America. You've mentioned to me off air that you kind of have a more personal connection to Mexico, and that was one of the reasons you wanted to focus on that area for coffee. This is coming up as we're talking right now. I'm thinking about it. As someone who has actually grown a coffee tree, meaning you, not me, I'm certainly not going to do that ever. You know how challenging it can be to get a crop. And so when you approach farms or when you approach importers, how does that impact your conversations? Because I would imagine that not a lot of people that are buying coffees from directly in particular have that experience on this side of things.
Yeah. So, our first order was from Royal, and Richard at Royal, him and I had a lot of conversations in the beginning before I bought the coffees, because I told him that, I wanted to really concentrate on farms. Not only that, I wanted mid 80s coffee. So I wanted a higher quality coffee, but I also wanted to know kind of farming practices. And Richard and Royal had a ton of information for me on their farm, which was great. Although maybe Richard didn't think it was as good as I did, because I kept asking about different things here and there, and a lot of things they couldn't answer. But I just started out with, I want a single varietal, and I want to make sure it's hand picked, and I want to make sure it's this and that, and and obviously you have to start expanding it. I mean, at our farm we have 1,000 trees, so it's pretty quote unquote easy to hand pick, although it's a lot. But when you have 50,000 trees, and it's a lot of a different story. But Richard at Royal really helped me out and gave me a lot of information on the farms, and not only the farms, but what happens to the beans once they're picked. Do they go to a co-op? Do they go to, just a big, huge distribution center or a big, huge post-harvest place? Like, how does that all work? And what we found is with the Mexican and the Nicaraguan and the Brazilian, they're all these small, I don't really want to call them co-ops, but there are all these small farms where somebody, and this is the same with all three of them, somebody said, okay, we're going to all work together and we're going to put in protocols. So all of our coffee is going to be consistent and we're going to try and raise the price of what we're selling the coffee for. And that was like the best of both worlds for us.
Yeah, they're uplifting their community. With MAMU, or me and my uncle, you're obviously working with family, which is always fun and
Yeah.
challenging, but also rewarding.
Yeah.
You have a unique kind of brand. I recently took some of your sample packages with me when I went to Specialty Coffee Association Expo this year in Chicago, and your bags have this kind of, I don't want to say crudely, but you have a hand drawn
Yeah.
dinosaur. Kind of with the information like this is the Santo or this is the El Momento or whatever that coffee might be. But when I was giving that out to just, coffee people at the festival, the response was like, I love the dinosaur. I love the dinosaur. Where did that come from and what made you think, oh, this is going to best represent our brand?
That's funny. It's a funny question. Years ago, somebody had given me a, I guess it was a JPEG that was similar to the dinosaur. And it was a little guy. It was kind of like the little dinosaur. He had a little sombrero and he was saying, make me a taco. And when my uncle and I were first talking about this, another thing that we were both very aligned on is, especially in specialty coffee, it's a very serious industry. Everybody's serious about their coffee. We've got great coffee. It's very serious, very seriously. And at the end of the day, wait a minute, we're all drinking coffee. And it's supposed to be pleasurable. It's supposed to be fun, and you're sharing it with your friends and you're talking about it. Hey, this cup is great. Hey, this cup is awful. I don't like that. It's like, it's coffee. It's supposed to be fun. So we wanted to have something fun in the beginning. And, both the name and the logo, at one point he said, hey, we got to come up with the name. And I said, hey, it's called Me and My Uncle. Oh, I love it. And then at one point I called him and that was the little logo that popped up, a similar version. He said, what the hell is this? Make me a taco. He said, hey, we need to do this with our logo. Let's make it something like this because it's fun, it's lighthearted, and we want we want to create an environment that's kind of, like we're also filmmakers, so we're a little nutty as it is, right? And so we want to create an environment where you come in and it's a good time. We're working right now on some of our merchandise. We want to do, well, I should leave that for a surprise for our guests when they come to the site. But we're doing a lot of fun merch that's not just coffee mugs and sweatshirts and t-shirts.
If I get another coffee mug, I swear my whole apartment's gonna collapse from the weight.
Right.
I've been liquidating as much as possible, but they just keep coming. I don't know what happened. Why take this next step? Why not just stick to doing the farm thing? Why decide to roast coffee and put it out there under your own name? I mean, you could just not. I mean,
Yeah.
it's challenging, right? And so you obviously love coffee, but why decide I want to do my own company and with my uncle and put it out there and let people judge it, write reviews, taste it and see what they think. Like, and why is that important to you?
I think a couple of reasons. First of all, I've learned so much in the last 10 years of us growing coffee. And there's a lot of people that love coffee. And so I want to share that wealth. I love teaching people. I love educating people. And, coffee is really something that I think we can all say that we take for granted. I mean, it's pretty tough to name a place in the world where you can't get a cup of coffee 24 hours a day. Now, it might not be the best cup, but it's always there. And there's a whole world of it that people just don't know, the specialty world of it. That's exciting. And, when I share my coffee with somebody who just loves, a French roast, and you say, okay, just take a sip of this, don't put any milk in and try it and tell me what you think. And they drink it and they can't believe it's coffee. Now, they might not always drink that coffee, that's fine. But just to, expand people and say, hey, there's this other world where there's all these different flavors and stuff that you've never seen before. And also to teach people about the process from seed to cup. I love that part of it. And it's just fun. We love coffee. And so it just seemed like a really natural next step for us to push on through. And I think, a lot of people have said it's a tough industry to get in. It's a crowded industry. margins are low, all this stuff. But I don't know. We both love it, and we want to share our experience with others, and we want to create a really fun, happy community of people that, I mean, our tagline, peace, love, and coffee, it's all related, right? And so I think that's why we wanted to take that next step.
Well, I can appreciate that when, I mean, I get excited about coffee, and it's why I do this show, and I get excited about entrepreneurs and branding, which is what led me to you. The website recently launched, and so people can actually order your coffee.
Yep.
It's MAMU Coffee, MAMU coffee.com. Your first roasts are out there. What's next for MAMU, and what should we look for in the future before we pop out, so to speak?
So what's next is we're just going to push more coffees, more varieties of coffees to people. I have importer in Mexico that I'm working directly with now, who's sending me samples all the time of different Mexican coffees. So I think we're going to have a lot of exciting stuff. Right now, we just have a light, medium, and dark. Again, we just launched, so our merch still isn't up. It's been quite a roller coaster ride trying to get here. A whole lot of fun. But also, if you come visit our website now, you'll see that we're just starting out and we're pretty small, and we love for people to come in at the ground floor and watch us grow. We're going to have a lot of new coffees coming up here in a couple months. We're also going to have a lot of cool merch. If you love the dinosaur, I hope, like you said, a lot of fun stuff to get online. And also we want to start doing videos and educational stuff. Just start spreading the word out and educating people more on coffees.
I just realized before we got on air here, I was telling you how I was going to learn how to do a video podcast. You're a freaking filmmaker. I'm going to have you come down and do it for me. Good grief.
I'll film you.
Richard, thanks for letting us check in with you. I mean, I hope to keep doing this, especially as our relationship grows. MAMU is an industry partner, and we care about, one, having fun, and two, getting people good coffee. I've actually tried all of the coffees on your website now, and I'm actually drinking one right now.
Oh.
And I'm looking forward to seeing how this grows, and I'm excited to see the progression that you've made from the first time that we've talked, being somebody who is just passionate about figuring out how to grow a coffee and take it to the next step, roasting it yourself and learning that, to going, man, I know enough now and I want to grow my own community and share this with other people. So congratulations.
One more thing I want to mention before we go. Thank you for saying that, by the way. It's very nice. Thank you. Another thing that we're offering at MAMU, which will start in a couple months, we're also going to do high-end drops. So I do want our customers that just like an espresso or just like a cup of coffee, we want to educate people on what a 88 plus coffee actually tastes like and experience.
When you say a high-end drop, do you mean like a shoe drop, or like a, hey, here's a small limited amount of something? Or is it more of just like we're going to kind of create these events around the releases?
It's going to be more like, hey, we've got this. Yeah, it's going to be very limited. We're always on the search for, typically 50 to 100 pounds of a 88 plus point coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So, from around the world, also from right here, we're going to sell our coffee online, our Rancho Delfino coffee online. And so it'll be very limited and, probably in the 150 gram range for orders.
Anyone who sees that will be one of a few hundred people that get a chance to try this kind of coffee from you. And that's a unique club to be part of.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun. And again, education.
I thought it was supposed to be fun, Richard. I don't want to learn anything. I just want to drink.
Learning can be fun, Ryan.
Wow. It has been awesome to see the growth in Richard's passion for coffee and how it has taken him down this new path. Check out the new Me and My Uncle website at mamucoffee.com. That's MAMU coffee.com. You'll see their first offerings, and I encourage you to start your coffee tasting journey with them now, so that you too can experience the change and growth in their offerings. Thanks for listening to the Coffee People podcast, for supporting the show by rating it, sharing it with your friends, and for going to coffeepeoplepodcast.com. This pop-in episode was produced with support from our presenting sponsor, Roastar Coffee Packaging, found at roastar.com. They're the right company to help your small business tell a big story. That's roastar.com. We're also supported by some really special coffee industry partners, including our legacy partners, Zoombar Coffee and Tea, Steady State Coffee Roasting, Moster Coffee Company, Coffee Cycle Roasting, Maria Coffee, and Cape Horn Green Coffee Importers. A special shout out to Crossings Coffee and Hesea Coffee, who support our Coffee Smarter efforts, found at coffeesmarterpodcast.com. And finally, thank you to our full city partners, including Ignite Coffee Company, Acento Coffee Roasters, Cozy Canine Coffee, Civets Roasting Machines, San Franciscan Roasters, Craft 42 Roasters, Ascend Coffee Roasters, and of course, our newest partners, me and my Uncle Coffee. This show, the Coffee People Podcast, is part of the Roast West Coast Coffee Network. And this episode has been written, produced, and recorded by me, Ryan Woldt. I hope this episode has found you happy, healthy, and with at least a little bit of coffee left in that mug, enabling you to make it through another day. Always tip your baristas and be sure to drink good coffee. If you are in the early stages of your coffee journey, we want to support you. Check out the Coffee Smarter Education podcasts. Coffee Smarter is designed to enable coffee drinkers to brew a better cup of coffee at home. And Coffee Smarter Pro covers industry-specific topics for baristas, roasters, shop owners, and aspiring coffee professionals. You'll find both shows on your favorite podcast platforms or on our website at coffeesmarterpodcast.com.